Mike, check 1, 2. You might be a collector out there looking to add games to your collection, and you just can't seem to find anything out there in the wild. And then you jump on YouTube, you see, maybe someone that you've been following on YouTube for some time. Maybe the algorithm pushes you a video that you didn't even know was out there, and you click on it and you see that there's someone out there who's been able to find complete in box, N64 games and complete in box Dreamcast games and Super Nintendo games. Maybe they were able to find that one grail that you're missing from your collection, and somehow they were able to find it at their local thrift store for $2. And you're just thinking to yourself, that's just not fair. Why am I not able to find those types of deals in my area? And I want to be the first to tell you, if no one's ever told you this, that collecting isn't fair. It's not fair at all. In fact, a huge chunk of being able to successfully collect video games, especially retro games, is really based on where you live and the population that you're surrounded by. And the reason for that is because obviously if you're in a more densely populated area, it means that there's probably more people that have purchased video games in the past. And as those people grow up and as time goes on, eventually they wind up passing those games on, giving them away, or taking them to your local Goodwill. So, when you see these things on YouTube where people are able to find these consoles, a lot of it, a huge portion of it, does have to do with where they're located. Now, don't get me wrong. You do have those parts of the country, like in middle America, where people are able to find deals. And a lot of times you're able to find games and stuff for really cheap. Whether it be in a small town somewhere in middle America, or in the South, or even in the North. If you're in somewhere where that's not heavily populated, there still might be opportunities for you to find games and find them even cheaper. But now in 2025, you're not going to find those deals. And if you look at some of the more popular video game collectors and resellers that are on YouTube, a lot of these guys have to travel. They've had to travel and leave their area to be able to find unique games, pick up, pretty decent sized lots and things of that nature. And so it's not fair. If you think that, every city is created equal, if you think that every um, GameStop is created equal, you're sorely mistaken. I saw a comment on my channel the other day from someone who was basically saying how, they never mess with GameStop online because, or just GameStop at all, because GameStop has a tendency to send them crap. That GameStop will always just send them loose discs and stuff like that, and that they never are able to get their hands on a complete in box game. And I knew exactly what that person was talking about because it happens to me as well. I bought a copy of Wario for the WarioWare for the GameCube, and this is what I got, right? Did I get the disc? Yes, I got the disc, but I got this bootleg makeshift buy my game Wah Wah Wario, right? No one wants to see this. A collector does not want to see this crap. A collector wants to see the complete in-box game, but it happened to me, and it is what it is. Now, thankfully, that was a free game that I got during the buy two, get one free. But we have a similar story here where, yes, I got a copy of Silent Hill 2, but unfortunately, my copy of Silent Hill 2 is disc only. There's no case, there's no manual with it. And so, I have to pray that I'm able to find a case and manual to complete this copy of Silent Hill 2. And so the truth is that, yes, I do wind up getting certain games where I don't get the game complete. But every other game that you see here on this chair here, all of these games are also games from GameStop and games that I did get complete in box. Shaolin Monks, Buffy, Vice City, Metal Slug Triple X, The Ring, Alone in the Dark. These were all games that I was able to pick up in store, complete in box at my local GameStop. Well, then you say, well, why 2K? That's crap. My GameStop never has games like that. Well, I also got a complete in box copy of Resident Evil 2 and Vandal Hearts shipped to me in the mail. And then you might also say, well, Y2K, that's bull crap. I never get a jewel case. I never get a complete in box GameCube game. I'll be honest with you. The reality is that I oftentimes have to return a lot of games to GameStop because they either send me broken games, they might send me the wrong game, they might send me a game that's not complete, and then I do have to turn around and make that return. And for a lot of people, they don't want to play that game. They don't want to play the game of having to order a game and it comes and it's not complete and then they have to return it. They don't want to have to deal with that. They want that security and knowing that when they order the game is going to come complete and they'll be able to play it and enjoy it and add it to their collection. But the truth is that that's not the collecting world that we live in today. We do not live in a world where collecting is fair and where all things are created equal. To be quite honest with you, the only reason why I shop at GameStop for retro games is because in some ways it's the least competitive place to buy games. And that might sound crazy considering how many people shop at GameStop and how many other like resellers and other people might go to a GameStop to buy games. But the reality of it is for me in my area, the resellers are way more on top of thrift stores, yard sales, pawn shops. They're way more on top of those channels for buying games. They're way more on it when it comes to those stores than they are with GameStop, because usually those resellers and guys like that, they're looking for the cheapest games. They're looking for the opportunities to spend the least amount of money on retro games. And a lot of times GameStop is not that option. A lot of times, especially when it comes to their retro stuff, GameStop has pretty much priced up all their retro stuff to come pretty close to price charting. And in some cases, they're even more expensive than eBay. So it's for a reseller, it's not the ideal spot. But for me, as someone who's not looking to make a profit on these games, but as someone who's looking to actually add these games to my collection, if I'm able to capitalize on a deal or on a promotion or use points and get a game or get my games from GameStop at an average of 30 to 35% off, then for me, that's a win. That's not going to be a win for a reseller. And so because of that, for me in my local area, GameStop is the least competitive place for me to shop. Now, it's going to be different wherever you are, and every area and every city is going to be different. But in order to level the playing field, because you might say, well, Y2K collector, what does all this mean? How do I get a fair shot? Well, I think in order for you to get a fair shot, you need to be able to do a few things. One, you have to be willing to travel. You have to be willing to leave your city. If your city is not a place where you can actually do quality game hunting, then maybe you need to leave your city. Doesn't mean you need to drive 5 states over, but maybe you need to go to maybe the largest city near you within a 30 to 50 mile radius. Maybe you could turn it into a weekend road trip where you do other things and incorporate game hunting into that. But you have to be willing to travel. That's part one. Part two, you have to be willing to give online sites a try. And I'm not talking about eBay. I'm talking about Facebook Marketplace, GameStop's website, just different avenues. Maybe you can join a video game group in your state or in your town. You have to be willing to give online options a try. And then I would say the biggest thing too is consistency. Nothing levels the playing field like consistency. If you can find something that's easy for you to do, that doesn't take up a lot of your time and kind of works well within your weekly routine to where you don't feel like you're going out of your way to do it, try to find easy and simple ways to incorporate game hunting into your weekly or monthly routine so that it doesn't feel like it's taking a lot of time, but it boosts your chances to be able to find complete in box games or good deals. Those are just some things that you can do, but the biggest thing is you have to assess your situation and then find the path of least resistance to get what you're trying to get out of game hunting. Unfortunately, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but collecting is not fair, but hopefully you can find out ways to make it work for you in your area. Let me know some of the biggest challenges with game hunting in your specific town, and I'll catch you in the next one. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.